I was watching a video, educating myself again on finances on a particular site, and a couple of sites. And financial experts were addressing something that I was researching financially. Because when you're researching something, you always go to the experts. You always go to the people who have succeeded in what you're trying to accomplish. Okay? So here I am, mentally taking in the information, check, let me look into that, processing the information. And then on both sites, it says something that was kind of odd. One side addressed certain beliefs that poor people have versus beliefs that rich people have. And they said that poor people, and one of the things that they say that is wrong is that poor people always say, what goes on in my house, you got to do as I say. First of all, what does that have to do with money? And for them to address it like it's wrong, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. And it made me want to speak on this today because I see too many situations where people have their names on the dotted line of that rent or mortgage or title or deed. And they have their names on the insurance and taxes and utilities. But they will let someone who is not financially liable or responsible for that household to run the whole damn thing. And that person does not even get up and have the nerve to even tell them, look, these are my digs. This is my crib. This is my house. And I have certain rules and regulations, and if you don't want to follow them and you have an issue for whatever reason, you need to go. I don't understand nowadays why there's a problem with that. When I was coming up, it wasn't a problem. How many times have you, as an adult, lived with someone, be it a parent or a relative or anything else, and when you went to live with them, and I'm talking about people with common sense. I'm not talking about these spoiled, entitled people. I'm talking about regular folks like you and I. You automatically knew this is their house, so I've got to understand that there are things that are done in certain ways around here. I mean, if you went into somebody's house thinking that you're going to take over and switch stuff around and everything, where I come from, that's disrespect. I've heard stories about people who have taken in other people. This could be family members, it could be co-workers, it could be classmates, it could be in-laws, it could be distant relatives, and they will come into somebody else's house and will literally change the furniture around. I mean, change the way this is going without even asking, without even consenting. Now, it'd be different if they were assigned their own room and they were told, okay, you can do this however way you want it. That's fine. This person will come in and change that person's entire living space without so much as to suggestion or anything else. Now, mind you, they didn't have nowhere to live until they went into this person's house. This happens a lot in romantic relationships, and I'm sitting up here thinking to myself, you know what? And I'm hearing the homeowner having a fit about it, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't feel sorry for you. If that's what you want me to think, you want me to get angry on your behalf, you want me to intercede and fuss at somebody? No, because you allowed that shit. This is your house. So when I heard in the video about poor people's belief that is wrong, that their house is their rules, their house. If they're paying for it, it is. I totally disagree with that. And unfortunately, a lot of people are living that way right now. Your home that you worked for, that you put your name on the line for, and that you make payments for, you're afraid to even go home every day. You're afraid to go home every day. Or if you do, You confine yourself to a certain section of the house because the rest of the house has been taken over by someone that ain't even put in on this shit, Craig. And for those of you who don't know, that's kind of like a spin on a phrase that was done in the original Friday with Chris Tucker and Ice-T when they were talking about the weed. But anyway, I digress. If they didn't put in on it, how they gonna come into your digs? Now, mind you, now they ain't had shit now. And they needed you to help them. And as soon as they come in the door, they turn around, turn shit around. That explains why they don't have shit. The attitude, the audacity, the nerve. Now, I told you I work for a small business, and there are certain employees, I'm not going to call out any names, but what they'll do is instead of going to, because there are certain things that I handle in the office-related things, but I get my direct orders in regards to those things from the owner. And there's always those one or two employees that figure they already know that the owner is going to say no. What they'll do is play good parent, bad parent. They're the little kid that play good parent, bad parent. So they sit here and play this role where they go ahead and say, you know what, let me call Deanna and ask her and see if I can get a yes out of her. First of all, I'm not the owner. My check has his signature just like your check has his signature. And yes, he has allowed me to be in charge of certain things, but those things that I handle were guided and created by him. There's a certain level of respect. My name is not on the outside of that building. I know my place. Yes, I have a lot of responsibilities working in the office. I fully understand that, but I'm not going to have my head inflated to the point where I am going to think that I can override a major decision. And there are one or two people that will try to call me and ask me something, my first question is, how come you didn't go to the boss on this? Because they already know it's going to be no. They're playing good parent, bad parent. They're acting like a child and playing good parent, bad parent. So this is what happens when people sit here and allow somebody to come into their house that doesn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, and they allow somebody to come in and turn their place upside down, switching the whole place around, changing the way the timing is in the house. Like, for instance, if you're supposed to get up and go to bed at certain times, this person has certain habits that don't allow you to get the same amount of sleep that you used to get. They don't allow you to, they changed up all the food in the house, and interrupted the way that you feed yourself, interrupting the way that you take care of yourself, interrupting your prayer and meditation time, interrupting your exercise time, interrupting the time that you normally go to bed every night so you can be productive the next day. Interrupting, attention-seeking behavior all the time. These people know you have a routine and they want to come in and switch it up. Another case, bringing strangers into the house constantly. Every time you come home, when you came home, you used to try to unwind a little bit. Now you're coming home to a house full of people. You don't know who these people are, up and through your house. Then all of a sudden you look up, you see stuff is missing or moved around. You don't understand why, because this person has been partying all day when their ass should have been out of the work or school. It's not like back in the day where people used to have a hangout place over the Big Mama's house or whatever. Folks aren't made that way nowadays. They're not. And in the case back in the day, really, Big Mama knew the people's family that they allowed in the house. So there were some safeguards. But here you are, working 40, 50, 60 hours a week to keep this house, that you worked hard for and that you stuck your neck out for, and you're going to let some random person come off the street, and I don't care if I am talking about your relative or girlfriend, your boyfriend, you're going to let some random person that ain't put in on your shit to come and turn your shit upside down. And I'm supposed to feel sorry for you? You can't. So for someone to sit there and say the guide to being rich is to get rid of certain mindsets, and one of those mindsets is telling people that if it's your house, it's your rules, that's a lie. If it is your house and you're paying for the privilege of having that house, then you can set any kind of rules you want up in there because you have a vested interest in it. Don't believe the hype. And don't have nobody tell you different either. Don't have nobody guilt trip you into letting somebody in your house because you're related to them or you married into the family and some shit like that. If you're not comfortable with letting that person in, especially if that person has already showed instability, don't do it because you are responsible at the end of the day for that. And unfortunately, in some situations, people are living in places like apartment complexes and condominiums and things like that, and they let the wrong person in their home, but because of those person's activities, they wind up getting put out of the house. And they didn't even do anything wrong. It was the person they were living with. Don't be a fool. Don't be afraid to say, no, I can't do that right now. And always question why a third party is trying to get you to get somebody else to live with you instead of them. I talked about this in a previous audio. This happens a lot in families. You have that one person that wants to bounce from pillar to post, can't seem to get this shit together, and want to bounce from pillar to post all the time, and then that last person is reaching out to everybody else in the family asking if they could take them in. Why? Why can't they just stay with you? Why are you asking me to take them off your hands and they're with you? You got to question things, people. So yes, I wholeheartedly agree. If it's mine and I'm letting you use it, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm letting you use it. You don't own this shit. I do. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Have a great day.